They divided the family business among everyone except me and said, "You're not capable." So I started my own company and just bought out their entire operation. We can't keep going without your love. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us your location. We'd love to know where our stories reach. The conference room smelled like old leather and my father's cologne. I sat at that mahogany table, fingers drumming against my portfolio. 10 years of market analysis, expansion strategies, everything I'd prepared to prove I deserved my place at Harris & Sons Distribution. My 3 brothers, Ronald, Deontay and Kyle, lounged in their chairs like they owned the world. They already knew something I didn't. "Thank you all for coming," Dad said, his voice carrying that fake warmth he used at church. Mama sat beside him, hands folded, eyes anywhere but on me. That should have been my first warning. Uncle James cleared his throat. "We've made some decisions about the company's future." My heart hammered. This was it. I'd worked warehouse floors since 16, earned my business degree at night school, brought in 3 major contracts last year alone. While Ronald partied through college, Deontay failed upward and Kyle couldn't balance a checkbook. I'd been building this company's future. "Ronald will take over operations," Dad announced. My stomach dropped. "Deontay handles sales. Kyle manages logistics." I waited. The silence stretched like taffy. "And Gianna?" I finally asked, hating how small my voice sounded. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. "Baby girl, this business is complicated. It requires a certain temperament." "What your father means," Mama interjected softly, "is that you're smart but you're not built for this pressure. You're too emotional. Too soft." Uncle James nodded. "We're protecting you, Gi. You'll get a nice salary, benefits. Stay on as an assistant to your brothers." The room tilted. 10 years. 10 years of proving myself, and I was too emotional to lead? Ronald smirked. "Don't take it personal, sis." But everything about this was personal. I drove to my apartment in Buckhead, barely seeing the road through my tears. My phone buzzed incessantly. Text from my cousin Shanice, my best friend Tamar, even my grandmother. News traveled fast in our family. The humiliation felt like acid in my veins. Inside my 1-bedroom, I collapsed on the couch. Everything I'd sacrificed, relationships, social life, my 20s, all for a family that saw me as incompetent. My phone rang. "Tamar." "I heard," she said simply. "I'm coming over." "Don't." "I'm fine." "Gianna Marie Harris, don't lie to me. I'm already in your parking lot." 20 minutes later, we sat surrounded by Chinese takeout and wine. Tamara, a corporate lawyer with the personality of a hurricane, was ready for war. "Sue them," she said flatly. "They're my family. Family doesn't do this." He grabbed my laptop. "Show me those contracts you brought in. The Patterson account, the Williams deal. Those were yours, right?" I nodded miserably. "And the warehouse restructuring that saved them $200,000 last year?" "Wine." Tamara's eyes blazed. "They stole your labor, your ideas, and your future. Now they expect you to smile and be grateful for scraps." Something cracked open inside me. He was right. This wasn't protection, it was theft. My phone buzzed. "Ronald, hope you're not sulking. Dad needs those quarterly reports by Monday. You're still part of the team." I stared at that text, fury replacing grief. Part of the team, just not an equal part. "I'm not suing," I told Tamara. Her face fell. "I'm doing something better. I'm going to destroy them." He grinned. "Now we're talking. Tell me your plan." I didn't have one yet. But I would. Monday morning, I walked into Harris & Sons with my head high and resignation letter in my purse. But I didn't submit it. Not yet. Instead, I smiled at my brothers, delivered Dad's reports, and started collecting information. See, nobody pays attention to the emotional sister taking notes in meetings. They talked freely around me, revealing client frustrations, supply chain weaknesses, profit margins. I documented everything. During lunch, I met with Jerome Tucker, our most undervalued warehouse manager. He was a 47-year-old black man with 20 years' experience and a mind for logistics that put Kyle's business degree to shame. "Gianna," he said carefully at the diner. "I heard about the meeting. That was wrong. Jerome, if you could run operations anywhere, where would you go?" He studied me. "What are you really asking?" "I'm asking if you're tired of being overlooked. If you want to build something that recognizes talent over bloodlines." His eyes widened. "You're starting your own company. Not just any company. One that'll compete directly with Harris & Sons. I need someone who knows distribution inside and out. Someone they underestimated as badly as they underestimated me." Jerome leaned back, a slow smile spreading. "Your daddy fired my son last year for being too ambitious. Kid wanted to modernize the inventory system. Ronald called him uppity. Is your son available?" "Terrence just finished his IT certification. He's been doing freelance." "Then I want to meet him. And Jerome, I need you to tell me every single weakness in their operation. Every unhappy client, every delayed shipment, every corner they're cutting." Jerome pulled out a notebook. "How much time you got?" We talked for 3 hours. By the end, I had the blueprint for Harris & Sons' destruction. Terrence Tucker was everything Ronald wasn't: hungry, brilliant, and grateful for opportunity. At 25, he'd built inventory management systems for 3 successful startups. When I explained my vision over coffee, his fingers flew across his laptop. "See this?" He turned the screen toward me. "This is your family's system. I built something better 2 years ago. They rejected it." The interface was sleek, intuitive. Real-time tracking, predictive analytics, automated reordering. Everything Harris & Sons needed but refused to implement because Ronald preferred the way we've always done things. "How fast can you have this ready for a new company?" I asked. 2 weeks. "But Gianna, starting a distribution company requires serious capital. We're talking warehouse space, inventory, trucks, insurance." "I have savings. $200,000 from my grandmother's inheritance. I haven't touched it." Terrence whistled. "That's a start, but you need at least $500,000 to compete." I thought of my apartment, my car, everything I owned. "Then I'll get it." That evening, I visited my grandmother, Mama Rose, in her Cascade Heights home. At 78, she was sharper than all of us combined. She took one look at my face and poured 2 glasses of bourbon. "They cut you out," she said simply. "You knew." "Baby, I knew before they announced it. Your daddy called asking if he'd done the right thing. I told him he was a fool." Tears burned my eyes. "Mama Rose, I need help." "You need money." She sipped her bourbon. "How much?" $300,000. "It's too much, I know." "Done." I stared at her. "Gianna, I gave your daddy seed money for that business 30 years ago. He promised me women in this family would have equal opportunity. He broke that promise. Consider this me keeping it." With capital secured, I needed expertise. Tamar connected me with Carmen Rodriguez, a 52-year-old supply chain consultant who'd built and sold 2 logistics companies. She had steel gray hair, calculating eyes, and a reputation for ruthlessness. Our meeting was at her Midtown office, all glass and chrome. "Tamara says you want blood," Carmen said, skipping pleasantries. "I want to compete with Harris & Sons." "Compete? That's ambition. What's your real goal?" I met her gaze. "I want to buy them out. I want my father to hand me the keys and admit he was wrong." Carmen smiled. "Now that's a goal. Tell me about their vulnerabilities." I laid out everything. Outdated systems, client complaints, delayed shipments, Ronald's incompetence. Carmen listened, occasionally making notes. They're complacent, she finally said. Classic family business disease. They think loyalty and legacy will protect them. It won't. She leaned forward. I'll consult for equity. 10% of your company. That's steep. I'm worth it. I'll have you operational in 6 weeks. In 6 months you'll steal their top 3 clients. In a year you'll be competitive. In 2 you'll own them. Why help me? Carmen's expression hardened. Because 20 years ago my brothers did the same thing to me. I rebuilt, bought them out and fired them all. Best decision I ever made. Some men need to learn that underestimating women is expensive. We shook hands. The team was forming. That night I submitted my resignation to Harris & Sons. The email was simple, effective immediately. Thank you for the opportunities. Dad called within minutes. Gianna, what's this about? Exactly what it says. Baby girl, you're upset. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. You made your decision. I'm making mine. I hung up. My hands trembled, but my resolve was iron. We called it Summit Distribution. The name was deliberate. We were climbing higher than Harris & Sons ever reached. I signed a lease for a warehouse in Doraville, smaller than Dad's but modern, efficient. Terrence installed his system. Jerome hired a crew of 5, all former Harris & Sons employees who'd been underpaid or overlooked. Carmen drilled me on client acquisition. Distribution is about relationships and reliability. Harris & Sons has relationships but they're failing on reliability. You need to be impeccable on both. Our first target was Patterson Manufacturing, a mid-size client I'd personally serviced for 3 years. David Patterson had complained about late deliveries monthly. I called him directly. Mr. Patterson, this is Gianna Harris. I've started my own distribution company, and I remember you mentioning concerns about delivery reliability. Silence. Then, Gianna? Your family know you're calling me? My family taught me that business is business. I'm offering guaranteed 48-hour turnaround, real-time tracking, and rates 5% lower than you're paying now. Those are bold promises. I have a track record. Every shipment I personally managed for you arrived on time. Let me prove I can do it independently. 1-month trial. He paused. Send me a proposal. I sent it that night. 3 days later, Patterson Manufacturing became Summit Distribution's first client. Revenue, $30,000 monthly. When word reached Dad, he called me furious. You stole my client. No, I earned a client through better service. There's a difference. This is family, Gianna. Exactly. And family apparently means I'm not capable. Prove me wrong. I hung up. Ronald left me a voicemail. You're gonna fail and we won't take you back. I saved it. Motivation for hard days. Patterson's switch created ripples. Other clients noticed. Williams Industrial, another account I'd managed, reached out. Their CEO, Angela Williams, was direct. I heard you left Harris & Sons. Started competing. Yes, ma'am. Good. Ronald Harris is an arrogant SOB who treats my team like we're inconveniencing him. You are always professional. What can Summit offer me? We closed Williams Industrial within a week. $45,000 monthly. Then came Bradley Supply, Jensen Manufacturing, Coastal Logistics. All clients I'd personally serviced, all frustrated with Harris & Sons' declining service. Within 3 months, Summit had 8 clients and $200,000 monthly revenue. We hired 12 more employees. The warehouse hummed 24/7. Dad stopped calling. Mama sent texts I didn't answer. Baby, can we talk? You're hurting the family. This has gone too far. What had gone too far was their disrespect. I was just collecting what I'd earned. Then Uncle James showed up at my warehouse unannounced. I found him by the loading dock watching forklifts maneuver. Impressive operation, he admitted. What do you want, Uncle James? To apologize. I supported your father's decision. I was wrong. You're more capable than all your brothers combined. The words I'd craved felt hollow now. Is this about the clients we're taking? His silence confirmed it. You're not here to apologize, I said coldly. You're here to protect your investment. Save it. I'm not interested in reconciliation. Gianna, family. Family protects each other. You all protected yourselves. There's a difference. I walked away, leaving him standing there. The little girl who'd craved their approval was gone. In her place stood someone far more dangerous. A woman with nothing left to prove to them. Success made us a target. It started small, delayed supply deliveries, permits suddenly requiring additional review, whispered rumors to clients about Summit's instability. Ronald's fingerprints were everywhere. Then it escalated. A shipment to Patterson Manufacturing mysteriously went missing. Our truck was found abandoned in College Park, inventory gone. $50,000 in goods vanished. Jerome found me in my office, jaw tight. Gianna, that truck was GPS tracked. Someone disabled it. Who had access to our system? Only internal staff and wait. His face darkened. Remember Daryl, the guy we hired from Harris & Sons last week? Daryl was Ronald's college roommate. I'd ignored the red flag because he had good references. Tamara, now Summit's legal counsel, pulled Daryl's contract. We can fire him, but we need proof for legal action. Terrence, always 3 steps ahead, had been suspicious. I installed redundant tracking on all vehicles after he started. Check this. The footage showed Daryl meeting Ronald behind a gas station, handing over our GPS codes. My brother caught on camera committing corporate sabotage. That's illegal, Tamara breathed. Industrial espionage. We can sue for damages and... No. My voice was ice. We're not suing. That's what they expect. We're going to do something better. I called David Patterson directly. Mr. Patterson, I need to be transparent with you. We had a security breach. One of our employees, a plant from Harris & Sons, sabotaged your shipment. But I want to show you exactly what happened and how we're handling it. I sent him everything. The footage, Daryl's connection to Ronald, our improved security protocols. Within an hour he called back. Gianna, I'm doubling our contract. That's integrity. Ronald's sabotage backfired spectacularly. Word spread about Harris & Sons' dirty tactics. 3 more clients switched to Summit. Our monthly revenue hit $350,000. Meanwhile, Harris & Sons was hemorrhaging. I heard through industry contacts that they'd lost 6 major accounts. Dad had to lay off 15 employees. The company that once seemed untouchable was crumbling. Deontay called me at midnight, drunk. You happy now? You're destroying us. I'm running my business. You're destroying yourselves. Dad's having chest pains. Stress. This is your fault. Guilt twisted in my stomach, but I forced it down. I'm not the one who told him I was incapable. I'm not the one who tried to sabotage my competitor. You all made choices. Live with them. We're family. Then you should have treated me like it. I hung up. But sleep didn't come that night. Images of Dad holding his chest, Mama crying, the family I'd once loved falling apart. Was this revenge worth it? Carmen found me in the warehouse at 3 a.m. running inventory. Second thoughts, she asked gently. He's sick. My father. Maybe I pushed too hard. Did you cause his stress or did his own poor business decisions? Both maybe. Carmen sat beside me. When my brothers betrayed me, I felt guilt too. Then I remembered I didn't break our family. They did. When they excluded me, humiliated me, stole my work. I just refused to enable their dysfunction. She squeezed my shoulder. You're not responsible for their failures, Gianna. You're only responsible for your success. Her words settled something in me. I couldn't control their reactions, only my actions. And my actions had been honest, strategic, and earned. The guilt didn't vanish, but it became manageable. I was building something real, something that valued merit over gender. That mattered more than their comfort. 6 months in, everything came to a head. Harris and Sons was struggling to make payroll. Clients were fleeing. The company my great-grandfather built was dying. Then Mama showed up at Summit. I found her in the lobby wearing her church clothes, looking small and tired. Mama, can we talk? Please. We went to my office. She sat, hands folded, tears threatening. Your father's in the hospital. His heart. The doctors say stress, high blood pressure. She looked up. He's asking for you. My chest tightened. Mama. I know what we did was wrong. I knew it then. I should have fought harder for you. Her voice cracked. But he's still your father. And he's sorry. Is he? Or is he just sorry he's losing? Both, she admitted. But doesn't he deserve a chance to say it? I thought of every moment I'd craved his approval. Every time I'd worked overtime, brought in clients, proved my worth. Every time he'd patted my head and given the real opportunities to my brothers. What does he want from me? To talk. To understand how we fix this. There's no fixing Harris and Sons, Mama. The company is broken because it was built on favoritism and pride. That foundation won't hold. Then what do we do? I took a breath, the answer crystallizing. You sell to me. Summit acquires Harris and Sons. I keep the staff who want to stay. I modernize operations. I make it profitable again. Mama's eyes widened. You want to buy us out? I want to save what can be saved. But on my terms. No more boys' club. No more nepotism. A real business. She was quiet for a long moment. Your father will never agree. Then Harris and Sons dies. His choice. Mama stood, wiped her eyes. I'll tell him. But Gianna, can you at least visit him? As his daughter, not his competitor. That request was harder to refuse. I'll think about it. I went to Piedmont Hospital that evening. Dad was in a private room, hooked to monitors, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Ronald sat beside the bed, glaring when I entered. What's she doing here? He snapped. I asked her to come, Dad said weakly. Ronald, give us a minute. Dad. Now. Ronald left, shooting me a venomous look. Alone with Dad, I felt like a child again, craving his approval and hating myself for it. Gianna. His voice was rough. Sit. I sat, keeping distance. Your mama told me about your offer. Buying the company. It's a fair offer. Above market value, actually, considering your current position. He flinched. You know what hurts most? You were always the smartest. I knew it. But I couldn't. He stopped, struggling. My father told me women don't lead. That men must provide, protect. I believed him. I raised my sons to take over because that's what I thought was right. You thought wrong. I did. Tears slipped down his weathered face. I watched you build Summit. Heard about your integrity, your strategy. You became everything I hoped for my sons. And I lost you because I was too proud and too stupid to see what was right in front of me. Something in me softened just slightly. Dad, I can't just forgive this. You didn't just overlook me. You crushed me. You made me feel worthless. I know. And I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking. He met my eyes. I'm asking you to save what's left. Take the company. Make it what it should have been all along. What about Ronald? Deontay? Kyle? Ronald will fight. The others, they know they weren't ready. Kyle already has another job lined up. Deontay wants to try sales elsewhere. He coughed. But this is your birthright, Gianna. It always was. The boardroom at Harris & Sons felt different now. I sat at the head of the table, Carmen beside me, Tamara across. Dad was there, still weak but present. Uncle James, Mama, and a very angry Ronald completed the circle. This is bullshit, Ronald erupted. You're letting her steal our company. She's buying it, Dad corrected. For fair value. More than fair considering we're bleeding money. Because she sabotaged us. No, Uncle James said quietly. We sabotaged ourselves. By being arrogant. By underestimating her. By playing dirty when we should have competed honorably. I slid the contract across the table. Summit Distribution acquires Harris & Sons. The terms. I keep all current employees who meet performance standards. I retain the Harris name for legacy clients who prefer it. Dad and Uncle James get paid out over 5 years with interest. Everyone else. I looked at Ronald. Everyone else needs to interview for their positions like any other candidate. Ronald shot to his feet. Interview? I've worked there for 8 years. And in 8 years you lost 12 clients, failed to modernize, and committed corporate espionage against a competitor. That's not a resume, Ronald. That's a liability. Dad. Ronald turned desperately. Dad shook his head. She's right, son. You're not qualified. Maybe with time and humility you could be. But not now. Ronald stormed out, slamming the door. Deontay and Kyle exchanged glances but stayed seated. What about us? Kyle asked quietly. Interview, I repeated. Show me you can do the job. I don't care that you're my brothers. I care that you're competent. Dad signed the contract with shaking hands. Uncle James followed. Mama touched my arm as she signed. I'm proud of you, she whispered. Those words should have meant everything. Instead they felt bittersweet. Too late and not enough. But the company was mine. Finally, truly mine. 3 months after the acquisition, Summit Distribution, incorporating Harris & Sons legacy accounts, was unrecognizable. Terrence's systems ran flawlessly. Jerome managed operations with precision. We had 40 employees, 20 trucks, and $800,000 monthly revenue. Kyle had interviewed and impressed me. He'd spent his time away actually learning logistics. I hired him as a junior manager. Deontay failed his interview spectacularly and moved to Florida for a fresh start. Ronald. I hadn't heard from Ronald. Dad recovered slowly. We had coffee monthly, carefully rebuilding something. Not what we had before. That was gone, broken beyond repair. But maybe something more honest. You know what I think about now? He asked during one meeting. All those years I told you that you were too emotional. Too soft. He laughed bitterly. You were the strongest one. The only one with the spine to build something from nothing. I learned from you, I admitted. The work ethic, the determination. You taught me that. You just didn't realize you were preparing me to compete with you. Best mistake I ever made, apparently. We sat in comfortable silence. Healing wasn't linear and forgiveness didn't come easy. But we were trying. Mama Rose visited the warehouse regularly, walking through with undisguised pride. This, she'd say, gesturing at the operation, this is what I imagined. Excellence, not excuses. Carmen called one evening with news. Just heard from industry contacts. 2 of my former brother's companies are struggling. They're asking if I'm hiring. What did you tell them? That I only hire based on competence, not biology. Same thing you'd say. I smiled. What happened to them? They're managers at mid-level firms. Adequate jobs for adequate talents. They finally found their level. And you're building my fourth company. Turns out being underestimated is excellent motivation. To being underestimated, I said, raising my coffee cup. And to proving them all wrong, she replied. Standing in my office looking at Summit's empire, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. Not happiness, that would take time. But satisfaction. I'd built this. Against doubt, against betrayal, against every voice that said I wasn't capable. They'd divided the business among everyone except me. Said I wasn't built for it. I'd proven them wrong in the most definitive way possible. I'd bought them out, rebuilt their legacy, and done it better than they ever imagined. Turns out I was more than capable. I was unstoppable.